Big Value, Big Business Podcast, episode number 008.
Welcome to the Big Value, Big Business Podcast with James Lynch, where we talk with today's most successful marketing minds about getting the right message in front of the right people and getting the right people to become your customers for life. And now, your host, James Lynch.
All right. Welcome back, my friends, to yet another edition of the Big Value, Big Business Podcast. I am your host, James Lynch. I am really big time super excited about our very special guest today. His name is Mr. Brian Massey. He's otherwise known as the Conversion Scientist. Brian comes to us from conversionsciences.com, where he teaches the art of conversion science to businesses both large and small by helping folks convert more website visitors into happy customers. Brian is also the author of the Amazon best-selling marketing book titled Your Customer Creation Equation, Unexpected Website Formulas of the Conversion Scientist.
That's quite a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah. Brian also speaks at events around the world and contributes his expertise to websites like Search Engine Land, ClickZ, and the Content Marketing Institute. So let's say hello to Brian. Brian, how the heck are you today, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Hey, listen, I want to thank you sincerely for coming on the podcast today. And actually, this was pretty short notice. And I'm really super psyched for you to share with our peeps some of the science of online conversion. Are you up to it?
I am up to it. And I love what you're doing here, so I'm glad to be participating.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to dive right in. And if you could maybe just give us a little history about Brian. Tell us a little about Brian Massey, where you came from, maybe, and a little bit about your journey that took you to here where you are today.
Well, it takes kind of an interesting combination of experience, skill, and neuroses to end up being a conversion scientist. And in my history, I was trained as a computer scientist, loved programming, came out of college with a computer science degree. But during college, I co-opted with IBM, and I got to see one of those sales guys with their blue coat and their red tie, and I thought, I could do that. That's pretty cool. So I actually went into corporate sales, into technical sales out of college with Texas Instruments selling semiconductors. And I went up the chain to the highest level of my incompetence there, got involved in a part of the business that wasn't really technical and didn't suit me well. So I left there and came back and started a more of an entrepreneurial phase. So I started a company in the 90s called Soft Reality. It closed in the crash of 2001. And I found myself wondering what was next. Well, I got into corporate marketing. So we had running Conversion Sciences. Running Soft Reality. We had worked on what makes a website communicate well, and that took me naturally into the marketing side of things. But as it turns out, a computer programmer entrepreneur does not make a very good employee. So I would go in and do a fantastic job of building out these intelligent marketing systems for websites, and then they would say, all right, now start just putting a quarter in the machine, and that didn't suit me. In 2006, I started Conversion Sciences. I thought it did the best job of bringing all of my strange interests together, the technical side, the entrepreneurial side, and the marketing side, and dubbed myself a conversion scientist, put on a lab coat, and began the long, slow process of building a brand for that company and building business for that company. So I don't know what else you do with that combination of skills other than make yourself a conversion scientist. And I strongly recommend that you create a niche for yourself if it's something that you can easily explain.
Yeah. So have you felt that you've kind of found that niche now? Are you doing what you love doing?
I am doing what I love doing. It is a very high growth area, so I was a little bit ahead of the curve. It took some patience for me to wait for the market to catch up with us, but I mean, who doesn't want to get more money from the traffic that they're getting on their website?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. So you kind of went over not being the model employee. I shouldn't say not being the model employee, but just having issues with working for other people. Could you expand on that a little bit? Like, what were some of the challenges you faced, and what made you finally turn the corner to want to become your own boss?
Well, I think that my interest is in new challenges and building things. So in running my own company, I get a constant flow of new and interesting businesses that are coming to us, and we service all kinds of businesses, from e-commerce companies to business companies to lead generation companies. We just talked with a online gaming company. All of those have different challenges and really require us to shape our service offering according to the needs of each individual. So there's always this challenge of creating value, creating something new, and that's really what I love to do. And I think in working in a corporate job, there were these times when you got to build, but then there were always these times where you were maintaining. And that's, what the business wants. That's what we do. It just didn't suit me very well. So it took me a few times to go through it to accept that I was probably needed to give in to my entrepreneurial callings and strike out on my own.
So what would you consider was your big breakthrough? Was it one point in time where you were able to, when did you turn the corner, I guess?
Yeah, for me, actually, it was, I saw a presentation by Brian Eisenberg, who was the first mover in this space of conversion and how you can look at a website through the visitor's eyes. And instead of designing a site you think is pretty or you think is effective, you stop and you look at how visitors are acting on the site. That's the core of conversion. And that really brought all the things together, because there's a technical side of it. You have to set up some analytics on your site. You have to be able to go in and look at those reports and divine hypotheses from them. And then you get to work on design and layout and create the creative pieces. Writing copy, we deal with images, we deal with video. You never know what's going to cause someone visiting your site to feel more comfortable taking action. So it was really that moment. It was at there's an amazing business school here in Austin called the Wizard Academy, and I recommend anybody look it up, wizardacademy.org. And it is essentially a place where they try to do on purpose what natural artists do accidentally in terms of communicating, writing, generating images and things. That was really the breakthrough for me. That was when I said, I really need to be in this business. Number one, because it suits my talents. And number two, because this has to be a place where I can generate a value proposition that's going to make it an easy sell, quote unquote easy. Building business is never easy, or at least it hasn't been for me, let's say. So that was the big breakthrough. And the generosity of the companies that employed me, either laying me off or firing me, was also, I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, Brian Eisenberg, Conversion Trinity?
Conversion Trinity is his most recent thing. The book that was really foundational for me was Waiting for Your Cat to Bark.
Nice.
If you'd like to, if you'd like to understand how to understand what your visitors are expecting, it's a fantastic book.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and kudos to those folks that do give us our marching orders and almost force us to follow our passion. And dude, I'm so happy for you, because you do sound comfortable in what you're doing right now, and I've looked into your work. You absolutely are doing what you were meant to do. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
I feel fortunate.
Yeah, man. So tell us about a day in the life, like present day. You touched on having a value proposition, maybe a mission statement. I just want to hear how you approach going to market with your business, and you are successful, so you are providing value, and big value, big business. That's what it's all about here. Is your business can grow to the extent of the value that you provide. So tell us a little bit about your value proposition, your mission statement, either personally or for your company or both? And what kind of plan do you follow to communicate that on a consistent basis?
Yeah. Well, probably one of the most important things that happened in my business was finding that partner that was a great match for my skills. So, as you might imagine, the amount of time that I spend exploring the online marketing space, reading other blogs, researching test results, and just basically being curious, that doesn't lend itself as much to a business that is operating on a high growth, high profit trajectory. So I met Joel Harvey. He very quickly became a partner in the business, and he really brought that operations piece to it. So the business, while I'm still using my talents to communicate and bring people into the fold and educate, all the things that I think a business should be doing online, he's really taken what we do and refined it into a value proposition and a set of services that very finely target a particular kind of customer and allow the company to grow and has really put us on a growth trajectory. So today our value proposition is very straightforward. You hire us. We have a package that is 120 days, 4 months. Our goal is to find more money than we cost during that 120 days. And if we do, we think you're going to keep working with us. So that simple value proposition, I think, cut through a lot of the things that I was leading with, things that we still do, but really added complexity to the value proposition. Doing analytics analysis, doing personas where we need to do those things, all important pieces. But we really do have a value proposition that communicates clearly. So I spend my time educating the audience because it is still a new market, even though conversion has been an important part of every transaction since the first transaction, the oldest profession. And we have a value proposition that allows people to comfortably come in and say, "Oh, I get what these guys are going to do for me. Let's hire them and see if they can find some more money for our business."
All right. Was I right to giggle in that oldest profession? Was that intentional?
There's a conversion there as well.
Yes, there is, my friends. Right on, right on. So tell me about the education piece. I love to hear it. I love your style, lab coat and all. I've heard I've heard you on other programs, talking about the lab coat, and you actually do wear it, and you're wearing it now in the interview. Do you wear it on stage? But and please answer those questions. But do you tell me about the education piece? You do travel around. You do give talks. Education in our space is at the core of value. Whether you're educating someone about something that a problem they have, and you're educating them with the solution. So that is a huge word. And just tell me how you approach it and what you pour into it. And go. Just
yes.
Tell me.
So. The traditional advertising says that we need to convince people that they need our product. Inbound marketing, or this educational-oriented marketing, where we have so many tools now to reach out to people and teach them something. I mean, it's very easy to write a column in text and put it on a blog. It's very easy to generate video. It's very easy to create images digitally. We don't have to break out the cutting boards and the canvases and the paints to do the sorts of things online. We've got great outlets for all of these. We've got Instagrams for our images. We've got Pinterest for our long form images and infographics. It's a golden age. So inbound marketing says what we want to do is use these tools to make our prospects experts in our field, make them experts at essentially choosing us or not choosing us. And that's what the education is about. So helping them understand what the value proposition is on different approaches we might take to conversion, helping them understand what is and isn't affecting their website. And it's all done in whatever medium we want to do it. We like to spread it out and mix it up a little bit. Sometimes we're doing text for people who prefer text. We might do reports for people who are very methodical and want to know all the answers, and short blog posts for others, videos for those who are impatient and like the visual. if you mix it up, you're going to reach the largest number of people. And by educating them, you're making them better consumers of your product. So if you've got a good product and a good value proposition, before long, it's going to be very natural for them to say, yeah, this makes sense. I need to call these guys. So it sounds less self-serving than it actually is, because it is. And your content should be self-serving. It should provide ways for them to find you and consider buying your product or your service as a business. But otherwise, it's a hell of a lot of fun, and it's a great way to refine your game and refine your own message when you're in sales situations with a client.
That is the perfect explanation, one of the best I've heard, and the perfect equation for value-added success. Thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. Eloquent and right on point. I'm just switching gears a little bit. I'd like to take it down maybe to a quasi-personal level. I kind of try to dig out gold nuggets, and I often ask, if you had a close family member that had a small business online, say even a service business, and they were trying to expand and grow, and they're getting some traffic, but they want to increase their conversions, they want to attract and keep more customers. What would be the first thing, once you give them a checkup from the neck up, what would be one of the first things that you would do to help them expand?
Well, there are a number of things, but probably the first one would be practice writing. Even in this digital age, when we can record things like we're doing here, and we can video things, and we have all these visual tools we can use, ultimately writing is an amazing skill to have in almost any business. So find the kind of writing that you like to do. There are plenty of people who say, I just don't like writing, but you know that they're going to be off telling stories or something and enjoy that. How do you get that into your soul, so that communicating by the written word and the written words within these other mediums, how do you foster that? The other thing I would suggest is a hook for your business is invaluable. So I've given hundreds of presentations. I am in tens of thousands of places on the internet, and I am inevitably in my lab coat. And I'll tell you, after hundreds and hundreds of leads have come and said, yeah, you presented at this show. I don't remember what you talked about, but I loved the lab coat.
Love it.
And it's a good hook because it complements what we do, which is bringing science to websites and looking at the website scientifically rather than using myth or superstition or gut reaction, which a lot of marketers do when they're building a website, a web page, or launching a product. If you can find that thing that you can go to over and over again, that you can use in images, that you can have fun with in copy. We talk about the things we're doing in the labs and the mythical machines that we use to analyze web pages in our copy. It's fun, and it's the sort of thing that gets remembered even if they don't remember exactly what you taught them, So I think that those two things are the things that have really helped me over the last, it's been 7 years now.
So get a hook, no matter how big or small it is, but something that's that people are gonna remember you by.
Yeah, it's a mental tool that allows them to hang impressions on. So when they see my name, they'll put a lab coat in there, and then they can say he was smart, he was entertaining, he looked like an idiot, whatever they decide.
It works. It totally works.
Yeah. Well, and I have to tell you, every time I go out on stage in that doggone thing, I still have this twinge of, am I being a little too kitschy here? Is this too gimmicky? But
no, dude, no. If you didn't wear it, I think you'd get called out because I think it's expected.
Yeah, that's what I've learned. So
that's great. That's great. And the other piece that you brought was invaluable. That's the communication portion. Learn to write, which you are communicating. Learn, practice it, and stay consistent with it, I think.
Yeah, and have fun with it.
Yeah. What you like to write about. There's got to be, obviously, if you're in the business and you're not happy about the business you're in, you can't find anything, then you're in the wrong business.
That may well be true. I had not thought of that.
You know what I mean? So, there's got to be something that you can write about. If you're doing something day in and day out, there has to be some other the redeeming quality that you can you can expand on and communicate. So awesome. That's great. Thank you very much for that. Another personal note, just your mindset, Brian. What gets you up in the morning, gets you going, as far as any rituals for productivity, accountability, things that keep Brian moving in the right direction?
Well, probably for me, the most important thing that gets me out of bed is stuff that's due, quite frankly.
Like all of us. Yep.
But I think running my own business has one huge advantage, and that is that I get to set my own schedule. So we have an office, and our employees come to the office every day, but I don't feel compelled to sit in a cubicle from 9 to 5 and do that day in, day out. And that freedom that I can get up in the morning, and if I have a spurt of creativity, I can bang out a blog post, or I can do a client proposal. That sort of freedom for me and my personality is just really important. That may not be true of everybody. I mean, they may really enjoy the interaction. But I would, my recommendation would be negotiate with your boss or find a business where you can have some of that flexibility. The flip side is that I do end up working long hours. I just don't tend to work them in a cubicle from 9 to 7 or 8 to 7 every day, and that helps keep me sane.
Awesome. How about a business resource? Do you use or subscribe to a mastermind? Do you have a peer group, or read religiously any blogs, or subscribe to podcasts? Any author that you read all the time, keep up to date with? How do you keep informed and inspired on that way?
Boy, that's a hard one. I read very widely, and I am more of a topic-oriented, hunt and seek sort of a guy. Joey Ito called it yak shaving, where in real life, where you go to try to find a pen in your junk drawer in the kitchen, and you end up reorganizing it. You meant to do one thing, and then you find yourself on a trail and down a rabbit hole that leads you to something else. And I tend to do that online myself. So, I really can't say that there's a place that I go to. I'm generally starting with my social media audience and what they think is interesting, and diving down on those things. The other conversion companies in the space, I check them out regularly because they're running tests and reporting results and things like that, and new ideas. We're always looking for new sources of hypotheses. But I really can't say that there's a great resource to go to, other than if you want to know what I'm interested in, I have a mailing list called For Further Study, and I bookmark the articles that I think are interesting, and once a week that list of articles goes out to your inbox. So that would be the best way. If you're really curious about what I'm reading, that's where I bookmark the things I'm reading.
Sure. Our listener is always looking for other forms of inspiration or other resources, and that's perfect. So can they sign up for this resource on your website, on the Conversion Scientist or Conversion Sciences, or both?
They will be able to sign up for that on Conversion Scientist. So sorry to do this to you, but we have a blog site, which is the Conversion Scientist at conversionscientist.com. And then our main site with our services at Conversion Sciences. So you'd be able to sign up for further study on Conversion Scientist, the blog.
Perfect. No, and actually we talked earlier, and we want to give both equal time because they're both equally valuable in resource. And on that note, as we wrap things up, this went way too quickly. Parting shots. We have an idea of where to get in touch with you, but give us any current projects you have going on, any events you'd like us to be aware of, projects, events, and lastly, again, how we can find you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, we are launching a new service called Cascade Content. It's a concept that came out of my book. It's at cascadecontent.com. All together, no spaces or dashes. And our goal is to make it easier to produce high quality content. So the issue in a lot of businesses is they're selling especially business to business orientation, they're selling a technical product with a lot of issues, and they need to go through this process of making their prospects experts in their products. And so it becomes difficult to pull the key elements out of a subject matter's brain and produce the content, the blog posts, the infographics, the reports, the white papers. So what Cascade Content does is it allows you to take a webinar that you've done where they've prepared a presentation, your subject matter experts come on, prepared a presentation, submit that to Cascade Content, and we will use what's in that presentation to generate a report, a white paper. If it's a long presentation, we can generate an ebook, an infographic, and then the blog posts and social media posts that go with that. So that's the thing I'm building now, and one thing I've learned is that I've always got to be building something. So be interested in getting your audience's feedback on that. They can upload a webinar for an analysis absolutely free at cascadecontent.com.
That's fantastic. So it's basically content repurposing and redirecting?
It is. And
beautiful.
Past that subject matter expert issue, we don't have to interview and spend a lot of time. We'll just take what's in the presentation and repurpose that. Yep.
That's great. Now, do you custom tailor the content per platform that it would be distributed on?
In terms of per platform, what do you mean?
Social media versus maybe a LinkedIn versus more of a social site like Facebook, or slide share versus Instagram or Pinterest for a
since I'm a
infographic.
Since I'm a conversion guy, what we do is we actually produce a landing page for each of the items of content, and then we'll produce social media posts that are targeted at Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, G+, whatever niche social networks your prospects tend to be on. And for instance, if you can attach an image, as you can pretty easily with almost every site but Twitter, we'll include an image with that from the presentation and do a post on that. So yeah, they are customized for the channel. Email's another. Email, I believe, is the largest social network on the planet. And if you're not good at email, you should be. So we'll produce emails that will drive traffic back to that landing page and generate the leads that content is supposed to do.
Awesome. So tell us one more time how we can find Brian Massey.
You will find me first and foremost at conversionscientist.com. That's where you'll learn what I find interesting. That's where my posts, teachings, infographics, everything can be found. And if you are interested in knowing if your website could be generating more revenue from the traffic you're already getting, come to conversionsciences.com, and you'll learn about the services that we provide and how we can help.
Great. Brian, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thanks very much for having me.
Okay, brother. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
All right. I hope you enjoyed our chat today with the conversion scientist, Mr. Brian Massey. Please visit Brian at conversionsciences.com to learn more about the science of conversion and how you can turn even more website visitors into lifelong customers. You can find the show notes and the highlights of this interview at bigvaluebigbusiness.com/episode 008. Or just go to bigvaluebigbusiness.com and type Brian into the search box for easy access. Hey, and do me a favor if you don't mind. While you're there, could you please take a second and leave me a comment? Either comment about this interview, about the podcast overall, or tell me what you would like to hear us talk about. Any questions, challenges that you may have with your business, I'd love to be able to find the expert that would have the answers you need and have them on the podcast. So talk to me over at bigvaluebigbusiness.com. And last but not least, I really hope we brought some big value into your day. You take care, and I'll be talking to you real soon.
Thanks for listening to the Big Value Big Business Podcast at www.bigvaluebigbusiness.com.